Mark Andrews.
Alright, sorry. Ready, guys? 3, 2, 1.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Triple Coverage Podcast Rookie Profile episode. Today we're going to get into some tight ends. But before we do, I'm going to introduce the boys. I'm Travis Sutton. I'm here with Jay Up and James Up.
What's up, guys?
Woo, woo.
Hello, boys.
Hello. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Better than Mark Andrews?
Probably. Not.
If you had to pass a physical, could you pass a physical right now?
I could turn a cough.
I don't know. Yeah, I was going to say, what do you have to do for a physical?
Show up.
What's the deets?
Stand up in less than 3 seconds?
Ooh, you fail that. Right now with your back?
Don't tempt me.
Oh, I got money
I'll
on
be
the
in the
line.
hospital.
He needs a backiotomy, I think. At old age catching up with you, maybe.
Yeah, I had a rough weekend. So,
What was his name?
Mark
So why he's talking about tight ends.
Andrews.
All right.
Let's get into it, man. A tight end from Oklahoma. Played with the old Baker Mayfield. He's 6'5", about 250, a young 22-year-old.
Young and aggressive.
So, who wants to go first? Positives, negatives? He's highly touted.
Yeah, are we in all consensus that he's going to be the top tight end coming out? I mean, last year we had like 4 of them with the O.J. Howards and the so on and so forth coming out together, and it was a really big, I guess, tight end class, whereas this year it seems like it's only a few guys, and I think that Mark Andrews kind of has been talked about as the number 1 coming out.
I think he'll be taken ahead of Dallas Goddard. It kind of depends
Those
on how
are
they
2.
do with the combine, but I mean, I like him as a prospect a little bit better. Some of the positives, when you're sitting there watching tape, he looks really quick for a tight end, but he also kind of seemed more like a wide receiver than he did a tight end. He didn't do a whole lot of blocking, so that's one aspect he's going to have to work on in the NFL level. He's got decent hands, but sometimes when you watch a lot of tape of him, you'll see that he loses focus sometimes, and that leads to drops. So I'm sure that's something that can be easily corrected. He's got good feet, but he did not run an extensive route tree at Oklahoma.
Yeah, when he first got to Oklahoma, he was a wide receiver, and he switched over to tight end.
Right.
In high school, he was a wide receiver and recruited as one. Number 18 in his class as a wide receiver coming out. And we're going to talk about that as far as he's got really good speed for being a tight end, but not blow-away speed for like a wide receiver. And plus, he kept growing, kept getting bigger, kept putting on weight. And when you're carrying 255 pounds and you're 6'5", puts you right into the, for me, like the Jimmy Graham category of like he could be a wide receiver, but he would be gigantic as a wide receiver, and he fits more as a tight end. And I think that he would give a lot of mismatch problems to linebackers that are going to try to guard him in the NFL level or the college level. So I do like that for him, and he definitely served as Baker Mayfield security blanket the entire year. Mayfield loved to go to him, not only just in the red zone, but they loved to get him out into the open field and let him kind of do his thing because he was actually able to juke guys. I saw a couple of highlights where he jumped over a few guys. Definitely not afraid of contact, but he will try to outrun you as well because he's not afraid to get hit. So I like that for my tight end as well.
He also won the 2017 John Mackey Award, which is given to the best college football tight end.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got a lot of accolades. He set a lot of records at Oklahoma for tight end, including receiving yards for tight end with over 1,700 yards. So he's definitely a guy that's a playmaker, and I think that he will be fine at the next level. He definitely, though, like I said, needs to work on his blocking because any team that drafts him, he's going to have that as part of his game.
A lot of teams. Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of teams have one specific tight end for blocking, one specific tight end that's a pass-catching tight end. So, like, for example, the Patriots. Everyone knows Gronkowski. No one knows the other guy that comes in there and basically just comes in and blocks and helps out Gronkowski and the other positional players do well. And I think that that's kind of where he fits in. He doesn't have to block. I mean, if he can add that to his repertoire, then for sure that's just going to make him even better. But I don't think he's being brought in to be a blocking tight end.
He's definitely not being brought in there. I just think that he'd have to work on that a little bit. They don't want a tight end out there that can't block at all. I mean, he's going to have to occasionally block.
Right. The one thing I did like about him, too, was when I started looking at his stats throughout his career. In college, he played 3 years at wherever he's at.
Oklahoma?
Yeah. But no, his freshman year he had 7 touchdowns. His sophomore year he had 7 touchdowns, and then his junior year he had 8 touchdowns. So very consistent between the 7-8 touchdown range. So again, the guy's reliable, and a lot of people say touchdowns are fluky. But if you can have a security blanket like a tight end that's that solid, I think that he's going to have a long career. You had a little nugget about him before.
I did, actually. I didn't know this until I started kind of digging around, but I guess he has type 1 diabetes, and he almost died from it his freshman year, 2015 in college, and he was actually found by his teammate Wesley Horkey, which is the center. And apparently he was laying in his bed, and his eyes were open. He was awake. He was breathing, but he couldn't move his entire body. So Horkey found him, immediately called and tried to get 911 there as soon as possible, and then called Andrew's mom, and she said that he's basically going into hypoglycemia, and to get him sugar immediately. And there happened to be gummy bears on the nightstand. Popped one of those in his mouth. He kind of had to sit him up, which trying to pick up 240 pounds.
One gummy bear?
He needed sugar.
Yeah, but one?
That's what gets started. I don't think he shoved the whole pack in his mouth.
Maybe it was one of those.
He wasn't trying to choke him.
Gigantic.
Like 3 pound gummy
Yeah,
bears?
the 3 pound gummy. He was like, shove that in there.
I don't think he was trying to choke him. I think he was trying to just get sugar in his system. But I wasn't there, so I can't really say. But needless to say, he survived, and he went on to have a pretty good career at Oklahoma.
A couple things I want to touch on. Him being a wide receiver, so he's great he's got great hands. He's got some double moves. He's got the speed, like you said. He works the middle of the field. He's that freshman year he had less than 20 receptions and he had those 6 touchdowns. So he's a red zone threat. So he reminds me a great example we had just as last year was like Evan Ingram. Like he was known for his pass catching chops. This guy's kind of going to be known for the same thing. It'll get him snaps probably quickly and involved. Hopefully he goes to a good offense that is actually going to use him. I would hope that they draft him with that in mind. And to touch on the diabetes, does that worry you at all? Drafting him in not as an NFL team, but as fantasy wise in your rookie draft.
See, I think that it doesn't really, because the advances that have come in that field of the diabetes. I'm sure after a death scare like that, I'm pretty sure that he went to the doctor, got everything sorted out to where they have those machines now that you literally take with you anywhere you go. You click, you take the little prick of your finger.
Keep going, brother. I'm interested in where you're going with
He's going to be on an NFL roster, and they have the trainers, the nutritionalists, everyone. And if it's a problem like that where he had a near-death experience, I'm pretty sure that that's going to be a focal point to make sure that you're not going to draft somebody he's projected to go in the 2nd to 4th round of the NFL draft. If you're drafting somebody in the 2nd, 3rd round, I'm sure they're going to make sure that they're going to take, exception to him and make sure that he's acclimated with the situation that he's at and make sure that he's on top of it, because sometimes I know a lot of those things can kind of go to the wayside. If you're a freshman in college, you're 18 years old, 19, very immature, probably thought, I have diabetes, but it's not the end of the world, not a big deal, probably went out drinking and did whatever because you're in college and that's what college kids do. Now you're a professional. Now he's 22 years old. He's going to be concerned about it more than he was before, and he has people looking after him, I think.
Well, so here's the thing is when I started reading that story about, the type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes, I came across the same story about this. It says it's a genetic disorder. So he's been dealing with it his whole life. His body is unable to produce insulin on its own. So the routine is critical for him. Like it basically says his whole entire life is like a math project. He has to count carbs, he has to take insulin, and he can't deviate. So they think that maybe what happened that day when he was basically laying lifeless, like he was awake but still like couldn't move, was maybe he worked out a little bit too hard or something was wrong in his intake, because they said that it could be extreme spikes and lows in glucose levels, and a simple tiny mistake of miscalculating could be, obviously you saw with the worst thing that could happen, he could end up dying from it. So I know he's on a regimen, but like the littlest thing, if he gets the NFL and they're working out differently than he did in college and something happens with his miscalculation, he could go right into the same type of thing. But I know that they're going to have people watching him.
But does that hurt his value? Like, does that concern you, I guess?
I mean, it doesn't. It concerns me as much, I guess, as like the sickle cell trait. Like they have to get it under control. Once they figure out how to do that, and they know what to look for, I think that it'll be okay.
That would suck though, to be on that. Like you're a world-class athlete, and you're worried about literally every little thing, going wrong. But at the same time, people that don't have diabetes, that are just regular athletes in the NFL, are still on specific regimens of. When what's his name, Chip Kelly came in, he was making all those guys specifically drink this many ounces of this shake and of this whatever with this much, but like they literally have that thing so mapped out that it's like it would be hard to deviate from that. That's what I'm saying. It's like, here's your stuff, bro, go drink it. Like when you're in college, you're not gonna have that. Even if you go to a college like Oklahoma or Alabama, maybe if you're a superstar. But and when you get to the NFL, if you're like, hey man, I need help to do this, I need you to get me on a strict regimen because I have this diabetes issue and this is what's almost caused me to die. I'm sure they're gonna take it serious and they're gonna make sure that he succeeds. So I'm not really worried about it.
It doesn't scare me off either.
But he did almost have 1,000 yards receiving for a tight end this last year. He had 958 yards. So again, like I think that he established himself outside of his freshman year when you said he didn't really have that many catches and got better as he got older. And I think coming into the season, he finished with 62 receptions, 958 yards, and 8 touchdowns. To me, is like a wide receiver stat line. And I think that he would be good on a high-powered offense that he's not the number one option to, obviously. But any injury concerns? Because I didn't see anything.
I didn't see any injury concerns.
And
no, the only
tight ends, it seems like in the NFL right now, like if you are a relevant tight end in the top like 10, chances are 6 of you guys are going to get hurt and they're not going to finish the season. That's just kind of how it's been the last 4 or 5 years in the NFL. And I was searched pretty good for it, and I couldn't find any injuries at all to his career, high school or college. So that's actually a big plus for me, because if you can get a healthy tight end, he could easily be, in a year or two, a top 7 or 8 tight end without having to do much except for stay healthy and be on a decent offense.
A couple of the mock drafts I've seen him, NFL mock drafts I'm talking, I've seen him going even late first to Jacksonville, which I think would be...
That'd be a good fit.
Because I don't believe, just like you, Travis, I don't believe Bortles will be back next year. I think that they shed that 18 or 19 million off their books and they bring in somebody else. And if they do have anybody that's decent come in, he's going to be a nice little security blanket. And I think that he could have the type of season that, I wouldn't say as good as Evan Ingram this last year, but I think he could have a season that's, a little bit less than that.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's just the money with Bortles, even if Bortles was staying there, it wouldn't really deter me that much, because he had a decent year.
Yeah.
They've kind of changed how their offense runs. They have a running back that they can use the majority of the time, and he's a top of the line running back.
Right.
I'm not concerned with the diabetes at all. I was just curious with you guys. I've seen him going in the first round as well. It's not very deep this year compared to last year.
Correct.
But it is a tight end, and tight ends do usually take... We've gotten spoiled, I think, especially with last year's draft.
For sure.
They do take a couple years usually to kind of get into the swing of things and get really heavily involved. His bonus, I guess, is that he's more of a wide receiver, so he should be involved earlier than a normal tight end, I guess, coming in.
Yeah, I mean, Evan Ingram did get thrusted into
Injuries.
being the guy because
right
of injury. Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if Evan Ingram takes a step forward or back next year, but I think that he might end up, Mark Andrews might end up in that same situation if he goes to a team that he can actually produce right away. And I mean, I don't want to say anything outlandish, but I think I could see him being a top 10 tight end depending on where he lands, because of the tight ends have so many injuries. And then you have Gronkowski possibly retiring, Jordan Reed's hurt every single year. All these top tight ends besides basically, I guess, Travis Kelce and like Delaney Walker are like the only 2 that have like longevity of not getting hurt for 3 seasons. Other than that, everyone seems to be hurt. So just stay healthy, and hopefully the best to him. He averaged 15 yards a catch for the entire 3-year career that he had in Oklahoma. 15 yards a catch is very good for a tight end. Again, it's almost like his numbers are like a wide receiver. So that's why I like him. He's definitely my tight end 1 coming out. I don't know in a rookie draft, though.
That's what I was going to ask.
If I'm taking him in the first round, I would see him maybe going in the middle of the second round, just because there's so much talent coming out with running back and receiver that it would be hard to take him over any of the top 6 or 7 of each of those other positions, depending on where he lands, obviously.
Yeah, last year,
Do you see him going in the first? Back in?
Yeah, I could see him going in the first.
O.J. Howard went number 9 in our draft.
And Ingram went 11.
Just our draft, but all 3 of the ones the top ones, Ingram, Howard, and Njoku, were all in
Top 15.
Most of the lists that I saw were first round guys. They were all like in the 9 to 12 range. I could see Mark Andrews. It depends on your team needs, how you're sitting in the draft, what kind of capital you have in the draft. If you could use a pick on a tight end and it wouldn't strap you down from other positions, yeah, I could see him going. If you need a tight end, there's not very many good ones in this draft. So if you can get one, then you got to.
You need to jump one early and maybe take somebody a little bit earlier than you normally would. Especially if you just say if you're kind of depth and running back and receiver and you're okay there, why not take a chance on a tight end? I don't have a first round pick. I have a second round, and it's pick 9 in the second round. If he's there, I would definitely take him. I just don't think he's going to be there around that time. But if he is there, I wouldn't mind spending a pick on a tight end, because tight ends are a premium in this league because it's hard to find one that's consistent.
Yeah, that's true. Like I see him going late first, early second. But if he does get taken in the first, I think he's the only tight end that does go in the first round of this draft. Last year, like we said, we had 2. They both went back in. So I guess it just kind of depends on who has those late picks, like if they need a tight end or if they don't need a tight end.
I think it's still early too. Free agent has yet to happen, agency has yet to happen, and the combine has yet to happen. So if he shows out really well at the combine, I mean, narratives start getting told when the combine hits. So anything can happen.
That's true.
All right, Mark Andrews, we're going to wrap you up, buddy.
All right, we'll see you next time around after the draft, probably.
Yes.
All right.
Stay with those sweets.